Hey everyone, Mac is back, and the glorious battle has just ended, and this is one of the first times that I got involved in the combat portion of it. Usually I was more of the support role, so I wanted to go over some of the reports and attacks that happened and kind of show you what not to do and sometimes what to do, but maybe a little strategy as well. So let's get to it. So we're going to start off with what you shouldn't do, and obviously getting counters what you don't want to do. As you can see in this report right here, I did no damage whatsoever. They lost nothing because of this pure counter that they did, and because of the commanders that they had in there and the stats that they had. Absolutely massive. I mean, having probably a max account. I'm not 100% sure on that. Looking at their account, probably a max account. So you can see these players and how well it's not just that they spent money, it's that they knew how to spend it in the right places and which commanders to use, which formation. Like they went pure royals here, pure tier 4, and in doing so, if you look at the battle record, we get down to the bottom, you can see that they had the reinforcement skill, and almost 46,000 were from the reinforcement skill, and I didn't even get through that. So just because of the counter itself, so pretty crazy, really bad on my part, of course. But I mean, sometimes you just don't know it. You gotta pay attention to those counts and when they're coming into those buildings. But here's another one. This was a little bit later. I think it was the same. No, it was a different. This was a small merchant city. But as you can see here, I switched it up. I went to infantry this time, and then I ran into infantry cav. There was only a little bit of cav in this one, so I did a little bit of damage. You can see here, 4 million. But at the same time, I lost a lot. And if you go to the statistics, the big thing is I was trying not to lose these tier 4s, and it wasn't too bad. I only lost 8,000, but it becomes a little more expensive to heal them up in the end. So that's kind of the bad portion up here. Let's look at some of the other stuff that happened. Something to note is that make sure when you send, or before you send your march, is that's when you want to have everything active. Your fervor, your lord, all your badges, all your equipment, everything. You want it all be set up. As soon as you send it, that's the stats that you're going to be using. So another one came in here, and I got into the castle, and here was one of a good counter that I did. As you can see here, this actually account had tier 5. So very, very strong account. The commanders were very strong as well to support that pure infantry lineup. However, this shows you how strong a counter can be. Just these counter here, you can see the sizes here. I had 100,000 more roughly, so that actually helped as well. But if you look at the statistics of it, you can see that I got into those tier 4. Rarely will you get into the tier 5 because nobody's going to be able to get through. They're not. Most people who have tier 5 don't put a small march in front, or a small amount of tier 4 or tier 3 in front, just to be safe. So you can see that this actually worked out pretty well. And then you can see I love how you can hover over these enemies eliminated in battle. And as you can see here, it shows you where the damage was dealt. Whether it was a weakness attack, you can see it was active army skill, which is my setup more likely. You have the normal attack set up there as well. That damage was done from just a normal attack, and that's the counter is what that is basically. What your dragon did and what your commander is awakening as well. So it gives you a pretty good idea, which is very nice. So I was in this castle. That's the first one that I took, and then as I went on here, there's people sending their marches just to get their to get their points, their contribution points. So you can see here, and there's one thing that I wanted to show you, but I'm not probably going to be able to do it on here, is because it'll show you all their stats, and I don't like to do that. But the resilience is and the resilience is what kind of really gets you. But after the one attack, I walked away from my computer, and that was not. I do not do that if you're the lead in a castle and you have a main march in there. So you can see I'm down to 827,000 troops in there. Here's another one. Was a tough one. So Lord Simon has a pretty good march here, 861. So more troops than I did. But they had infantry cav, and they didn't have a whole lot of cav in there. And since it was infantry frontline, it worked out pretty well in my favor. And this, you can see the tier 4s that they ended up losing there. But this weakened me significantly, of course. So this is about the time I would probably pull out, or I would watch to kind of see if somebody else strong was coming in. Like there was one right there that hurt, which actually should have hurt, but it didn't, because that's a pure counter. So it must have been. Well, the commanders aren't the best there, because I don't know why Arya should be in there. Seg I could see okay, and the other ones, those are good ones, but I guess the stats weren't that great, and I'm not going to take a look at that at all. But yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. I don't know if this was just maybe a mistake on their part. Maybe they weren't in their gear. I don't know. That should have been a pretty good hit there. So, but I still lost a decent amount there. So I'm down. You can see my March is down to 657,000. So that's not very good. Right here it is 555. So I've lost quite a bit. I'm only getting small marches here, so not too terrible. And there, was that another one? Yeah, there was another one that hit me too. So you can see my meat shield is gone. So now I started to lose a tier 4. This is why I would have pulled out immediately. I shouldn't have even let it get to that far. But yeah, that was a tough one there too. It's almost even. Then we go to the next one. We're still looking at just those small marches. There's another bigger march as well with infantry and spear. And you can see here that I still won, but again, I'm getting hit down pretty hard. So that really hurts. And another small one, and as you can see, the gray here is going to be bad. I only had 235,000 left, and they were all tier 4s, and most of them died. None of them were wounded because at that point I was already full. So that was pretty bad there. You can see I definitely should have pulled out. So just kind of word of the wise there. Make sure you're paying attention to your marches. And just a couple reports here to look at. You can see here that another major counter I got hit here pretty hard by Mr. T. It's pretty sick here. I always like to look at their commanders. Obviously looking at their stats is good too, but checking the commanders out to see how that how that worked out. Then I go in here and kind of see the dread there, all the blood. Then I go to the battle record, and I always like to look at, since I have the female setup, and I like to see at the beginning here to see how much damage I did, because that means a lot there. When Salma procs off and Annie hits, then she does her thing here, hits her skill. Arya does her thing, and then Layla, then the dragon skill goes off, which gets some more damage. So most of my damage is going to be at the beginning to be able to kind of even out the score. Doesn't always work that way, of course, but that's what I kind of look for. I'm working on Daenerys to be able to get her to 4 stars. So hopefully once I get that, I'll have a lot more damage here at the front in the beginning of the battle here at the 1 second mark. But she'll get that dragon skill off and her other skills as well. So it'll be pretty good there. So props to Mr. T for his his big kill there as well. And here I just threw some marches in. Don't do what I do here. Another thing, don't do what Mac does. Don't do as I say, not as I do, kind of thing. You want to throw a tier 1. If you're going to go into you're going to go to Glorious Battle and just try to get your contribution points, just go to the tier 1 or tier 1. Don't put tier 3 in there, because you're going to have to pay for them they're not expensive to heal or whatnot, but still you don't want to be doing that. And let's see, what else do we have up here that's the same thing. That was just me redoing my fervor, because I want to make sure you get your fervor on there. And here's my last report here. So it was a straight up infantry into infantry. Looking at the commanders here, female setup here and female setup here. Is it just about identical? It looks like. Looks like I had Rey and they had Annie. So they had a little bit of different there. They went 4-star Annie and I had 3-star Rey, which I do have 4-star Annie. So I guess I could have done that as well. I like the extra 90% infantry attack that I get from Rey, plus that, so that maybe that's good, maybe it's not. I don't know. The way I look at it is more attack there. I think that's probably a better lineup to have, but we're pretty even up on the rest of that, which is kind of interesting. And you can see the results here that 951, so I had a little bit more, there as well. When it comes to distribution of troops too, so. Well, this one they went almost all tier 4s, so that's pretty big too, because I tried to put a meat shield up, which I did, so I ended up getting in some of those tier 4s and killing them. So in the grand scheme of things, the reason it's 3.6 million is because there are more tier 4s, and I didn't have any tier 4s, so they had a bunch of tier 4s. So that's a pretty big one. Then go look at the battle results. So you can see here, 2 female setups against each other. Theirs procced off and did a lot more damage because it's very, very RNG. So you kind of have to look at it from that respect as well. So, and there you can see the troop resilience. So my resilience in the battle started off at 101%, my original attack. So actually it was high, and so it was there. So it was pretty even coming to that. So with those little marches you'll get, they knock that resilience down, and you'll get a lot worse. Here you go. We both had Salma go off. So I had a couple proc here, and then Layla did her thing. Then they had theirs proc off, which actually you can see did a lot more. And then did Annie come into play? She, yeah, right there. So Annie did another, yeah, right there, 7,500, kills there, just for her, her skill, which of course I didn't have her in there. So that's just something to think about. If she procs off here at the beginning, maybe Annie is worth it more than those, extra stats you're going to get from Ray. But I like Ray, like I said, I liked it in there as well. So you can see different dragon. You look at the skills on there. It's always good to see what kind of skills as well. But I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of the kind of what not to do, but also you can win and you can do very well, but you just got to know when to pull your troops out. I think that's pretty key. So until next time, Mac out.